What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the August 5th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you are notified when the latest content from House of Rasslin drops. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Man, tonight's Smackdown was a very, very interesting Smackdown. Well played, Triple H, because up until the last segment, which was Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre's confrontation for their match at Clash of the Castle, it kind of felt underwhelming because, ever since the whole transfer of power and Triple H was taking over creative, the last week's SmackDown, Raw, you could even say maybe the week before in SummerSlam, like all those shows, like you notice little things, and those of you who watch my reviews on SmackDown and Raw, you've heard me mention it's the little things, the little things, and just tonight, like it just didn't feel like it didn't come across like little, like it honestly felt like we were watching an episode before the whole Vince McMahon step down thing and all that. But man, the ending, man, that was chef's kiss. That was a really good, really good on Triple H, man. That there was news reported about the person that was in the last segment, and of course, a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's going to be a month or two," and nope, wasn't a month. Was not a month, but I do got to give them credit. This show did start off with some enthusiasm. It was fresh in a way. It was just enthusiasm. You can't go wrong with that. But before I break down and go into this episode of SmackDown, I'm going to read the results. So you had Ricochet defeat Baron Corbin. You had Shinsuke Nakamura defeat Ludwig Kaiser. You had Shayna Baszler win the Gauntlet Championship match to go on and face Liv Morgan at Clash at the Castle. You had the Viking Raiders defeat two jobbers, and you had Eric Rowan. He lost to Kofi Kingston. So those were the matches, I should say, on this episode of SmackDown. And just by the first three matches were solid. The last match, it was gonna take some getting used to. I don't know. It's just I don't want to say run its course, but it just doesn't. It's not vibing with what's happening, as I mentioned before, the little things. So I mean, it started off with a recap, which lasted 5 minutes. Then the show started like technically 7:05. You had the Usos and Roman Reigns. They pulled up in SUVs. Then we had a recap of Baron Corbin and McAfee's match at SummerSlam. Then I like this part because this was actually kind of funny. So Pat McAfee had a telestrator that we seen like in NFL when they draw up plays and they break down the play on an NFL game or college football game, and he's like, "Yes, my foot went right here in his nuts," and that he's breaking down the whole low blow that he did. That was pretty funny. Then backstage, they cut to Baron Corbin watching McAfee make fun of him with the telestrator, and all these wrestlers are laughing. And then one wrestler in particular, Ricochet, comes up to him, and he's like, "You know what? I'm going to challenge you to this." And at first, I'm just like, oh, man, here we go. Ricochet's going to lose again. And I was wrong because I forgot, or let me rephrase that, it did not register in my mind. Like, hey, this is still, this isn't Vince McMahon anymore. It's Triple H. So a lot of those guys in NXT that he really helped become favorites of those who were watching NXT, he's gonna start pushing, and it's not a bad thing. So you had that. You had Ricochet and Baron Corbin. There's a bunch of "you suck" chants to Baron Corbin, and that's one thing I did notice about this show is that when you heard the crowd get into it, they were actually getting into it. It wasn't these pumped in crowd. Like, no, you saw the crowd get into it, and at ringside and beyond ringside, like, okay, this crowd is into it. You had Ricochet chants, which was so encouraging. Like, they've booked this guy so poorly. There we go. Ever since he's gone up to the main roster, where it's just like, oh, he's just a guy that can do some cool stuff. Kind of like Cedric Alexander, like he was killing NXT and just, all right, whatever. But man, this was a pretty solid match. Corbin performed the Deep Six move on Ricochet. Ricochet ended up doing the recoil. Then he did the shooting star press 1, 2, 3. He won. Pretty solid match to open up SmackDown. The crowd was into it. They were hot. You're gonna get the crowd into it when you start the show off with Ricochet. That's just, Ricochet falls in the line of the guys from like the X Division in TNA and the Cruiserweights in WCW. A lot of times those programs would start off with those Cruiserweight matches or that X Division match to really get the crowd into it, which is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's been proven how you get a show hot right away. Then we get post-match McAfee. He has a football. He signs it, and then he kicks it in the crowd. I'm like, oh, man, this is cool. When this happened, like, it just, went through my mind. I was like, man, if only they had a really high, energetic song for SmackDown. Because I'm like, man, this vibe reminds me of the SmackDowns from like 02, 03. They were just like, that Marilyn Manson, Beautiful People vibe where it's like, oh man, okay, this show is like, it's bringing it, man. Then we get a recap of Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. Get a backstage segment with Sami Zayn. He knocks on Roman Reigns' door. The Usos come out, and Jay's like, now's not a good time. And then Jimmy Uso's like, yeah, I'll shoot you a text. And again, Sami Zayn's just like, oh, I'm an honorary member and stuff like that. I honestly think this is leading towards a reunion of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to take on the Usos, which, granted, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they break up, they fight, but I really do think that a face Kevin Owens and a face Sami Zayn in this environment and what Triple H is doing should be really entertaining. And I do think that's what it's leading towards, because we haven't seen Kevin Owens in a while. So I do think it's going to be very intriguing. But yeah, you could tell they're just like, nah, this guy's he's getting he's gonna get rocked. Like, nah, he ain't hitting it. So then we get a recap again of Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey. We get the next match, which is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ludwig Kaiser. Winner takes on Gunther for the Intercontinental title next week. Before the match started, they had a classic moment, and it was when Austin crushed the DX Express, which is freaking hilarious because I remember watching that episode. I was like, what the heck is going on here? That was always funny. And we get to the match. So Nakamura, he does the come on. And it's really cool to see how they're using Nakamura now. And it seems like we're slowly getting the Nakamura we got right before his WrestleMania 34 match with AJ Styles, when AJ Styles just turned heel. I think we're getting back to that Nakamura, which should be really cool. Kaiser performed a freaking crazy uppercut on Nakamura. Nakamura wound up hitting the running knee, pinning Ludwig Kaiser 1, 2, 3. He wins, and then you have this kind of like face off between Gunther and Nakamura. Come on, and that should be a really solid match. Nakamura versus Gunther. That should be really fun. I don't think Nakamura is going to win, but I do think it is going to be the closest that anyone has come to knocking Walter off since Dragunov at NXT TakeOver in, I think it was last year. It was the last TakeOver before they changed NXT 2.0. So I do think that's what's going to happen, but I'm looking forward to that match next week, Gunther and Shinsuke Nakamura. Then we get the match flow, Viking Raiders, New Day last week, how they just destroyed everybody. Then we get a backstage interview with Kofi Kingston, basically talking about how he's going to handle the Viking Raiders. Then we get another backstage segment with Sami Zayn. He's with the Usos, and Jimmy Uso looks at him and is like, man, I was about to text you. And he's like, yeah, the phone, I don't know if it's, the signal and this or that. And Jimmy Uso's like, man, you know what you need to do? You need to go check the music, make sure the video's up, go to the production truck. So they go to, he's bewildered, and he's like, all right, I'll just go to the production truck. Which, not a bad segment, because it's just like adding to the whole, okay, this Sami Zayn being an honorary member to the Bloodline is leading to something that's going to be really interesting. Then we have the in-ring promo with Liv Morgan. She mentions, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. The crowd starts chanting, you tapped out, which, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if they're going for that reaction, it kind of makes sense. The whole promo, like this promo actually should have been backstage. I don't know why it was in front of the crowd, because it was just, when the crowd was chanting that, it was just really, I don't know, it just didn't mesh for me. And just way it was written, it just didn't mesh. And Sonya Deville comes out and she's like, yeah, Ronda Rousey beat you up, and, she lost this, and, or you lost, and you shouldn't be the champion. Ronda Rousey should be the champion. I honestly think that we're going to see the way Ronda Rousey Liv Morgan match finished, where she just kept on being a submission hold and then put the submission hold on the ref. I do honestly think we're going to get Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville as a faction in WWE. And I think it's very soon we're going to see that. It's not a coincidence. They kept on showing Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler being backstage buddy-buddy. There's little things that, again, we're WWE right now with Triple H, it's all about the little things. It's all about the little things that eventually, oh crap, I did not see that. Or, damn, I should have known that was going to happen. Like, man, okay, this is cool. So we start off the gauntlet match. Sonya Deville, she defeats Aaliyah. They started off. There's a bunch of Ronda Rousey chants. The second person to come out is Raquel Gonzalez. She hits the Tejano bomb, pins Sonya Deville, 1, 2, 3. She wins. Then we get Raquel and Shotzi Blackheart. Raquel wins that match. We get Xia Li and Raquel. Raquel defeats Xia Li with the Tejano bomb. We get Natalya coming out. Raquel defeats Natalya. Then we get Shayna Baszler and Raquel. Shayna Baszler wins. Yes, Shayna Baszler defeats Raquel. We get Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler at Clash at the Castle in September. I do think there's going to be something that leads to Ronda Rousey and Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler to join forces against Liv Morgan. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Where this goes, how it plays out, I don't know, but this should be somewhat fun how this plays out. But yeah, this gauntlet match, again, man, it's something weird with WWE this week. Monday, the show was really good, but the crowd was just, for some reason, really quiet. Tonight, SmackDown, this part, like, I don't know, it was just, the wrestling, like the Gauntlet women's match was good, but for some reason the crowd was just, I don't know, I think maybe it is an adjustment period for the audience. For those that didn't watch NXT when Triple H was running it, it's an adjustment period for them. Like, oh my God, okay, let's see how Triple H does this. And it's like, myself and for many others who were watching this that have seen Triple H's NXT and the NXT TakeOver is like, no, it's going to be pretty good. it's going to be pretty solid. Then we get another backstage segment with Sami Zayn and the Usos. And Jimmy Uso is like, look, we are unified, undisputed, universal tag team champions. Roman's the undisputed universal champion. You need to start getting some gold and putting your weight around it. We're going to take that shirt off, and you're going to not be in this. So you see Sami Zayn just looking. I know many people on social media were mentioning, like, hey, he should get the 24/7 title just to make it funny. Which, honestly, I think because they mentioned that he should get gold, I would not be surprised if Paul Heyman or Roman Reigns, there's some interaction with Sami Zayn and like they put him in a match for the 24/7 title. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, because that would be hilarious. Then we get the Viking Raiders against two local wrestlers. I believe they said. They win. It was a squash match. So they're celebrating. Kofi Kingston comes out, starts hitting both of them, Eric and Ivar, with the kendo sticks. Go to commercial. We come back, and now we have Kofi versus Eric, which, when this happened, it's like, all right, man, this is kind of like Vince. And at this point, during SmackDown, it's like, and this kind of felt like a Vince McMahon show. Like, this didn't feel like a Triple H show that we saw on Monday and last Friday and Saturday. Like, it don't feel like So, I mean, Kofi Kingston wins. And then we get the announcement. And I like this. This is cool, but this adds to more intrigue as far as Sasha Banks and Naomi coming back to WWE. They announced this Monday on Raw there will be a women's tag team championship tournament. We don't know who the participants in. You just got to watch Raw. That's going to be very interesting. I do think we're going to see Sasha Banks and Naomi show up on Raw. And with that, I do think we're going to get the Raw Women's Tag Team Champions going from both Raw and SmackDown, which is pretty cool. This was not the only announcement surprise to come out of this. So after this, we get Roman Reigns comes out. He's talking. Drew McIntyre, he comes to the ring. And as he's heading to the ring, this really low guitar starts playing. And the screen is black with a bird flying out. And it's like, for me, when I heard the music, I'm like, oh, he's back. Karrion Kross is back in the WWE with Scarlett. I'm surprised. I went on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Everyone's like, man, I didn't know who that was, that Edge. I'm like, right away when the music hit, I'm like, Karrion Kross is back. This should be dope. I was anticipating him having a bald head, but no, he has his hair like this. He just beat up Drew McIntyre. He had a stare down with Roman Reigns. Scarlett comes with the hourglass, flips it over, and Karrion Kross looks at Roman Reigns and he goes like this, tick tock, tick tock. Hey, this is fun. This is going to be fun. I think the anticipation in WWE, which hasn't been like this for a while, is who's coming back that wasn't used and returning, which is going to be fun. This is going to be fun because not only you have that in WWE, you also have a lot of returns in AEW that are on the horizon. So, man, that was a kind of a shocker. Yeah, kind of. For me, kind of, but I mean, let's face it. There's been reports about Karrion Kross going back to WWE for like a week, and it's been nonstop. Like, Karrion Kross is one guy that WWE is interested in bringing back. So to that extent, I was not surprised. But man, this is going to be really interesting and fun how this all comes together, and not only how it starts, but then how it continues and how Karrion Kross continues in the WWE. Right now it's the same thing as when AEW was debuting all these people from WWE. Now it's happening in AEW, I should say. Now it's happening in WWE. So it's going to be cool. But again, at the same time, it's like, okay, let's see how this plays out and new feuds happen and new stars and everything. But man, this was a great way to end SmackDown, because outside of this, if Karrion Kross did not show up, this was a very, very, just watch the highlights on YouTube. Like, it really, nothing really stood out and just like, oh man, this is so good. Like, it was just like, okay, this, all right. You know, Ricochet was like, oh, okay, man. Yeah, finally. Ricochet's getting this due. You know, Nakamura and Gunther, like, oh, okay, that's cool. But nothing like, oh my God, like, this is dope. And Karrion Kross with Scarlett coming back, man, this was chef's kiss. Perfect, man. And I'm interested to see where Karrion Kross and Scarlett go from here. But I'm also intrigued of who might show up on Raw this Monday. I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it. Mondays and Fridays are starting to slowly become must-see TV. And that's just WWE. It's not including the other promotions. So it's this is a fun time, man. I think 2023 is going to be a fun time for professional wrestling and how this plays out. Man, Karrion Kross, he looked good. This is how they should have debuted him when he was NXT champion. Instead of the freaking, was it the Road Warrior Mad Max gear with the stripes and the mask? Like, no, this was the Karrion Kross that should have debuted. And this is dope because all anybody can talk about is this is how he should have debuted, which is, that's a perfect sign that they're doing something right. If people are like, this is better than what was before. And that's what you can tell Triple H is going for within WWE. And this is fun. This is fun. I know Raw is in Cleveland, so we could have Johnny Gargano and maybe Sasha Banks and Naomi show up on Raw this Monday. Never say never. It is what it is. But man, this was fun. Overall, this show, man, like I said, up until Karrion Kross and Scarlett, this was more of a show like, hey, you know, check out the highlights, or, you know, go on their Twitter account and just scroll through, you know, the little videos that they have. It wasn't anything like, oh my God, that we've seen this like past Monday or SummerSlam or even SmackDown. Like, oh man, okay, this, you could tell there's a difference. Like, it's just kind of like, and then it's boom. So that is my review for the August 5th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications so that way you are notified when House of Wrestling drops the latest content. And follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. With that, wrestling is about to be fun again. I'm out.